Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And we're really privileged to share a parent's perspective today. We're focusing on the Keystone School, which is a distinguished private school located in Monte Vista, just north of downtown San Antonio. And Keystone shows up high in rankings of the best schools in San Antonio. But we really want to highlight like the warmth and like the personal side of Keystone. So our guest blogger is Rose Parham, and so she wrote the guest post that's at sachartermoms.com today. But we were so lucky to actually get to have a conversation with her about her family story. And so Rose is also a self-taught baker at the Kneaded Cupboard, and she has a doctorate in pharmacy. So and two girls at Keystone. So Katelyn is age 9 and Madelyn is age 7. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, great. And then also joining us to give us more perspective about Keystone is Andrea Banks, and she is the Director of Enrollment Management at Keystone.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks. Okay, so the questions I have for Rose are kind of keyed off of the story that she shared in the guest post, but I'm really excited to dig in. So I already mentioned the names and ages of your kids, but like, what are some of their like favorite activities?
I actually am a mom of 4. My 2 oldest are my stepchildren, which are in high school and college, and my youngest 2 daughters attend Keystone. Like you mentioned, Katelyn is 9 in the 3rd grade, and Madelyn is 7 in the 1st grade. And they both currently play competitive soccer, and Madelyn does ballet as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, well, can you talk more about like what appealed to you about Keystone, like as kind of your like you mentioned in the post about your search process, like relocating to San Antonio, and so like what appealed to you about Keystone, like when you found out what their mission and vision was?
I wanted to find a school that embodied hard work and high expectations. I also wanted to find a loving community. My daughters are challenged academically and they love going to school. The teachers care about their students and are very nurturing. Keystone wants their students to be good people like me, and they apply what they learn in the classroom to the greater world.
Andrea, do you want to chime in and talk about the Keystone mission as well?
Yeah, our goal is to provide an accelerated curriculum for motivated students, right? So I always say that um, it's very kind of self-selective in terms of the families who come to Keystone, because at the end of the day, education is something that they highly value, and it's very important to their family. But it's also important to remember that we're academics, and so generally when people think about an academically rigorous school that's also accelerated, they think that nothing else is being offered. And so I just want to let families know that in addition to our, accelerated academics, we have a variety of activities that our students can participate in, whether it's the theater or robotics club, or if it's, our soccer and basketball teams. We want students to take advantage not just of the academic aspect of Keystone, but the other offerings that we have as well. And we're a small enough school where everyone has the opportunity to be involved in everything if they choose.
Yeah, well, I think something Rose mentioned is really important about your kids love going to school. They love their experience at school, and I think that's really important. I think a lot of families are looking for that, especially after like the pandemic was so disruptive, and kids got really tired of Zoom school, and so like have kids come on campus and be engaged, like what Andrea's describing, like all these activities. Rose, in the blog post, you talk about like how Keystone encourages students to develop their passions outside of school as well. So can you share that story?
Yes, and teachers guide their students, like you mentioned, in their passions outside of school, but not just locally, regionally, but nationally and internationally. A few weeks ago, we were told that 42 students from grades 1 through 11 will be published in the Young Pegasus Poetry Anthology. The Young Pegasus Poetry Competition was founded in the 1920s, and it invites poets aged 18 and younger to submit their work to be reviewed by a panel of independent judges. So we were really excited to see so many of the Keystone students, be published in this anthology. Also, a few weeks ago at the San Antonio Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Student Visionaries Dinner, 3 of the upper class students were recognized for their advocacy on behalf of patients and families. 2 of them won the Mission Pillar Award for research and were runners up for Student Visionaries of the Year, having raised over $73,000 in 7 weeks. And another student won the Mission Award for Advocacy Service and raised over $50,000. So these are recent things, but I just find it to be pretty outstanding that these students take their interest and their passions outside of the classroom and make a difference.
Yeah, wow, that's really beautiful. Well, and I think so. One of the things that you covered in the guest post as well was talking about teachers. Right? Andrea, do you want to comment about Keystone teachers, and then we'll get to the story that Rose shared?
Yeah, our our teachers have been at Keystone for a very long time. We have very low turnover at Keystone, and they're absolutely passionate and experts in the field that they teach. But one of the things that I love about Keystone is when I'm touring families, when I'm showing them around campus, when I'm bringing them into classrooms, it's not kind of this antiquated notion where you have a teacher standing in front of the room and just lecturing the students, and they're expected to regurgitate that information later for an assessment or for a quiz. It's really, and we start this even really young at the preschool level, where we want our student voices to be heard. We want them to have a say. And as they get older, excuse me, it looks more and more like a discussion, right? This open dialogue. And that's a way how students actually learn. They're not memorizing things. They're not sitting there with flashcards in front of them. It's really a lot about, it's about application. It's about understanding. It's about kind of really thinking outside the box and stretching yourself. A great example of this is, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the show Shark Tank. We have this in 6th grade. So it's a big project that our 6th graders are involved in. And they are in pairs or they're in groups of 3s, and they have to come up with a product. They have to come up with a prototype, and they have to pitch it to the sharks, which are the investors. And so the sharks are usually administrators or other teachers. They have to come up with a prototype. They have to incorporate their math skills because they need to figure out how much they're going to ask the investors to give. They have to incorporate their art skills because they have to come up with a prototype of the product that they're trying to pitch. They have to integrate technology because there's a slide deck. They have to work on their public speaking because they're presenting. So another thing that I love about Keystone is that everything is interdisciplinary. They're not kind of shutting their brains off when they're going from one subject to another. Like, this is math class, this is English, okay, this is science. Everything is interwoven. And I like to use Shark Tank as an example because it's kind of the culmination of everything that they've been learning thus far. And it's a lot of fun, and it's a really great way to engage the students and have them realize, oh, this is why I'm learning this, or this is why I'm learning that, and how it can be really useful and helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you gave the example of Shark Tank. And the example that Rose mentioned in the guest post was about the leadership class. So is it the 4th graders that take leadership class, and there's a lot of parent participation?
Yes, it is. The leadership class is arranged to have the parents representing a variety of fields and presenting them to the students. So there have been talks on how to make companies successful, how to create and build a business, how to create a life to service others, and much more. Our parents play a vital role in supporting the Keystone community. In addition, the teachers participate in a travel society, and they learn how to incorporate their travel experiences into their classroom. There's outdoor education at Keystone. There's student-directed research, like Andrea mentioned, there's robot programming and more.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Andrea mentioned that the teachers are, they stay a long time, right? They're really happy there, and they stick around. But it sounds like, the teachers must be pretty incredible, like, to be able to lead so many different activities, right? Like, whether it's robotics or like music or art or theater. and like all these subjects that are interrelated. I don't know. Do y'all have more to share about the teachers?
It's more on the older end. We have a teacher here who has his doctorate in history, and he teaches AP European history. He also teaches a civics class for our seniors, but he also I think he majored in opera when he was in college, and so I love going to his classes because they're very theatrical. He's very expressive. He has a loud, booming voice. And whenever I visit it makes me think of my days in college where, you have the large lecture halls, but then after that you have your discussion classes that are a lot smaller and more participatory. And that's exactly what his classes feel like. And I strongly feel that um, students are able to connect with our teachers here because part of my phone call because it doesn't feel like something that's so taxing and this is what I have to do. Again, I keep coming back to the word engagement because it's not boring. It's like primarily in history class, it's like you're hearing a story for the first time and you want to be involved as much as possible. So you mean that's just one example of the type of teachers that we have here.
And
Yeah.
I would like to share a story, Inga. Just to tell you how special these teachers are. My 9-year-old Katelyn was diagnosed with dyslexia at the end of her kindergarten year. And I was nervous. I didn't know what the school was going to say and how I was going to handle it. We started the Take Flight program outside of Keystone, and the teachers have been, the teachers, the staff, the entire school has been extremely helpful and encouraging. Katelyn has not needed accommodations, but they have documented her paperwork in case she does in the future. The teachers have done little things like placing her in the front of the class, and we have parent-teacher conferences. She's currently in 3rd grade doing 4th grade work, and she's thriving. But I contribute so much of that to the teachers, and I'm just so very grateful to the support we've received from all the teachers and staff at Keystone.
Yeah, well, and that counteracts like one of the myths is that private schools won't cater to students who have different needs, and so that's a great example of like that yeah, getting a dyslexia diagnosis or any diagnosis like that is really scary, and because you don't know what the future holds. But that's great to hear that the teachers at Keystone have supported your daughter.
They really,
Yeah,
really.
well,
And if I can
yeah,
piggyback on that, sorry. So,
yeah,
I mean, Rose brings up a great example of how, um, Katelyn doesn't need, accommodations, although she has, information in her paperwork. But all of our all of our teachers understand that all of our students learn differently from one another. And that's a big reason why we have small class sizes, because we want to be able to differentiate. We understand that there are students who are tactile learners and visual learners and auditory learners. And so it doesn't make sense to teach in one kind of all-encompassing method when we know that there are, 13, 14 kids in class who all learn very differently. And so the amount of support that's here, the experience, the wisdom, the know-how to really do that is quite special here. And so we have students who are dyslexic, we have students who have ADHD, we have students who are somewhere on the spectrum, high functioning. And as long as students are able to to do the work, to keep up with the work, we have no issues with accommodations, as long as it's something that we can support and it's not to the point where like they need a one-on-one aid, or if it becomes something distracting to the rest of the class. But we absolutely support and meet students where they are.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's really important because like yeah, my son's on the autism spectrum, and I'm a big advocate for more folks recognizing that children can have learning differences and still have great academic potential, and so to have the opportunity to get the accelerated curriculum at Keystone, like that's fantastic. Um, so I had a question for Rose. Again, going back to your guest post, like you answered the question about traditions, and in particular Valentine's Day. So I was wondering if you could talk more about like Valentine's Day traditions, like just as an example of what Keystone does to make the student experience special.
I think Valentine's Day is bigger than Christmas at Keystone. I'm in the carpool line and I see my daughters and they have these big Valentine's bags that they've made at school and it's just bursting with balloons and flowers. It is one of the biggest traditions at Keystone. There are classroom and grade level parties. Juniors distribute gifts such as candies, balloons, stuffed animals, and flowers. And it all goes to raise money for the junior prom. In addition to that, the juniors choose a nonprofit organization that they also donate money to from their fundraising efforts, which I think is really special that they do. We have some other traditions. Our sixth graders read to the little school students, which my daughter absolutely loved having an upper school buddy. And there are different events that bring our community together, like food and drink festival, fun day, burgers with Billy. It's just a nice way to have both students and families on campus to build that community.
Yeah, that's great. Andrea, can you want to amplify on that about the traditions and all the special days?
Yeah, I mean, we have Grand Friends Day, where we invite not not just grandparents, but friends and families of the students so they can see their artwork, what they've been doing in class, and they put on a little presentation for them. We have other traditions that other schools have. We have prom for older students. We have homecoming. We have spirit wars between the grade levels and the division. So I always say that I don't think Keystone's ever closed during the weekend because there's usually something happening, whether it's an event or whether students are on campus rehearsing for a play that's coming up, or if there's a particular club or academic world quest and just different activities. But there's always a lot going on. And as Rose said, we just had our annual fun day this past Saturday. The weather was beautiful. It was a free event, an opportunity for families to come onto campus and go on bouncy houses, get food from food trucks, have face painting. So and we're trying, just having as many on-campus events as possible, because during the pandemic, a lot of schools, including Keystone, had to kind of stop all of that. But now that we have a handle on things, where it's back how it used to be, and having all of these events and gatherings on campus, and it's so much fun to see the community all in one place.
Yeah, well, one thing that a common thread of both of y'all's stories you just shared is this idea that the older kids and younger kids get to interact with each other, right? So like Rose mentioned that the like older kids will come and read to younger kids, and Andrea, you talked about like having families on campus and all different ages. So I guess Andrea, so I know Keystone goes up to 12th grade, and there's
Mhm.
also the little school that
Right.
starts before kindergarten. So what are the grade levels? What are the ages for?
For little school, which is our preschool division, we start at 3 years old. So students must be 3 years old and potty trained by the time they come to the little school, which is on a different campus, probably a 3-minute drive from the main campus, which is where my office is located, on the main campus. Then on the main campus, we have kindergarten through 12th grade. So essentially we have ages 3 all the way up to 18.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think it's great to have kids of different ages be able to interact with each other, because then like the younger kids have role models and the older kids can learn compassion and just, remember, yeah, you used to be little like that. You used to not know all the answers.
Absolutely. And it gives our older students the opportunity to be role models, right? And to be kind of very cognizant of how they present themselves when they're on campus and they're surrounded by younger students who really, really just admire them and are looking up to them.
Yeah, yeah. So, Rose, I know one of the questions that you covered in your guest post is about how you did your school search and just kind of what advice you would have for families. So, yeah, I guess like yeah, sort of. I think we touched on this, but kind of like what led you to Keystone, and like what was that experience when you like, you know, came on campus and just got that feeling of like, I think we found our place.
And it was when we were on campus. I was actually considering two schools. Keystone was one of them. And it was fun day. The event we had weekend that was my deciding factor to enroll my daughters into Keystone. And I'll tell you a little bit about it, but my advice to parents that are trying to decide, it feels like this is such a huge decision for your family. Visit the campus and meet the students. At Fun Day, the upper school students were working the activity stations, and I was able to observe how kind they were. I knew they were smart, but it was their leadership and kindness that led me to my decision to enroll my daughters into Keystone. You know, every family, every child is different, and you want to find a community that is the right fit for your child. You want your child to thrive, and you want them to look forward to going to school.
Yeah, yeah. Well, how lucky that the day you visited was Fun Day, and and how fortunate that like the school experience has lived up to that, right? Even though like, but not every day is like Fun Day, right? But you did get to see the students being kind and right that it's in being successful in life and making impact in the world. It's about more than just memorizing things or putting facts in your head, but it's also how you treat people and the kind of habits you develop.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Andrea, can you talk more about like how families can visit the campus? How can they set up a tour, things like that?
Yeah. I keep nodding my head emphatically when Rose was speaking because I feel like that's the most important thing is you need to set foot onto campus to get a feel and an understanding of what our community is like. We're a small school, but the community is really tight knit. We're incredibly diverse. Only over 61% of our students identify as students of color. When you have students from various backgrounds, you're going to have opportunities for discussion. You're going to get to know people who come from different backgrounds, religions, customs, and traditions. And we're not a school that's homogenous. We don't want everyone to act the same, think the same. We really want to foster our students' independence, their background, their creativity, who they are. And so if you have any questions about Keystone and would love to set up a tour, you can email me at abanks@keystoneschool.org. Inga, I think I forgot to give you my email. abanks@keystoneschool.org. You can also give me a phone call at 210-735-4022 extension 325. Dial my direct extension because it'll take you directly to me. So you can email me, you can call me to set up a tour so you can really get a feeling for what the campus is, because sometimes you can hear all the words and sometimes it's even, excuse me, hard to put into words. Sometimes all it takes is for you to step foot on campus and say, this is my place. This is what feels like home.
Yeah, yeah. I've been lucky, through my work for as San Antonio Charter Moms to visit different campuses, and like I feel like if I can see the look or the connection like between students and teachers, or get like that the vibe in a classroom, like that just tells you so much about what a school is about. And yeah, like you said, Andrea, it's hard to put into words. Like I try, with our like enrollment guide blog posts and stuff. Like but what it really is like just to give people enough information so that they will prioritize making the time to get on campus and feel like, and then that's really the test. And like Rose said, like, you might narrow it down to a couple of choices that make sense on paper, but it's when you actually get to experience it that you feel like, yes, this is the right place.
Well, I think Rose hit the nail on the head. She said, yeah, she knew Keystone kids were smart, but she didn't know that they were also kind, right? So she comes onto campus and she sees this kindness, these leadership skills. And I think as parents at the end of the day, yeah, we're proud of our children when they bring home strong grades and things like that. But I think what makes us really proud and happiest is that they're nice, that they stick up for their friends, that they're advocates, that they're thinking about others. That's what makes us all feel like proud parents. And those are the students at Keystone. They're really motivated and they're passionate, but they're also really kind. They're so respectful. And at the end of the day, if you can be in an environment where you feel safe to be who you are, I think that's what school is all about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Rose, do you want to just close this out with your thoughts about Keystone?
I am just so grateful to Keystone. I joined the PTO. I'm the PTO president this year, and I joined the PTO because I wanted to give back. They have done so much for my girls, and I'm not just saying that they care about the students, they truly care about them. And like I said, my kids love going to school. I see them thriving, Inga. And so I want to give back. I mean, we could not be more happy with the school. And, I encourage any parents that if they have any questions, of course, reach out to Andrea. And you're also welcome to reach out to me as well. So I'm on Keystone's website. You're welcome to send me a message and we can talk or email. So thanks for the opportunity, Inga.
Yeah, thank you. No, I really appreciate this because there's no one better to tell the story about a school than a family that's experiencing it. So Rose, I really appreciate that. And Andrea, I thank you for facilitating this and being accessible. And I hope families are intrigued and they'll contact you and set up some campus tours so they can see if it's right for their family.
Thank you so much, Inga. I appreciate you for really getting us situated with this. And thank you, Rose, for being a wonderful ambassador.
Yeah, thank you, Rose. Yes. Okay, and hopefully we can wrap up in time for school pickup, right? Because we're all busy moms, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks all so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.